Okay, so uh, everyone's wondering, are we going to get another stimmy,
Yeah.
now that Trump's back?
Yeah, that's the question on everyone's mind, especially
Exactly.
after the election. Yeah.
And so today we are going to deep dive into this YouTube video I found, Money Instructor, I think it's called,
Okay, cool.
and really kind of break it down and see historically, where Trump stands on it and what the current economic climate is
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, it's not a clear-cut yes or no. It depends on a lot of different factors.
Yeah. And I mean, looking back to, when the pandemic hit, he approved those 2 rounds of stimulus checks.
Right.
So, I mean, that's $1,800 total for most Americans.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sets a precedent, right?
Yeah.
That he's willing to do it,
Yeah.
especially in times of, crisis.
Yeah, and economic hardship.
Exactly.
But I think, this video also points out that, the economy was in a very different place back then. And now his plan for the economy is much more long term.
It seems to be, yeah. I mean, he's talking a lot about, reducing our reliance on foreign goods.
Right.
And using tariffs and things like that. So it seems like a totally different approach.
Yeah, I mean, could you break that down for us a little bit more? I mean, reducing reliance on foreign goods and trade tariffs.
Sure.
I kind of get it, but
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, reducing our reliance on foreign goods means trying to make more stuff here in the U.S.,
okay.
right? So that creates jobs
Yeah.
and stimulates our economy.
Right.
And tariffs, those are basically taxes on goods that are imported from other countries. And so the idea is that makes them more expensive.
Right.
So people will buy, American-made products instead.
Makes sense.
Now, whether these strategies will work, that's a whole other can of worms.
Right.
But it seems like a different approach than just giving people money.
Right. So, I mean, it's a total shift in focus from kind of like this immediate relief to like long-term structural change. Right. And then on top of that, the video talks about how hard it is to even get, something like a stimulus bill passed through Congress, especially with all the fiscal conservatives.
Right. Because there's a lot of lawmakers who really believe in limited government spending. Which is basically the idea that, the government should be less involved in the economy.
Gotcha.
And they argue that that's actually better for economic growth in the long run.
So, I mean, if you're thinking about it from that perspective, less government spending, less likelihood of something like a stimulus.
Right, exactly. Because it doesn't really fit with that philosophy.
Right. But then, the video throws in another wrench.
Yeah.
Which is like, what happens if there's another economic crisis?
Yeah, because then all bets are off, right?
Right. Because then, all of a sudden you have this pressure to act.
Exactly. And suddenly those fiscal conservatives might be singing a different tune.
Right, because now it's like putting out a fire.
Exactly. It's crisis mode.
Yeah, so it's like we're in this holding pattern where anything could happen.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting to see how things play out.
It's not really reassuring, is it?
No, not really, especially if you're someone who's struggling right now.
Right.
And I think that's why it's important to remember that there are resources out there that can help people right now.
Yeah. What are some of those?
So, there are things like food assistance programs.
Yeah.
Rent relief.
Right.
And even, local nonprofits that can provide support.
Yeah. Don't wait for a maybe stimulus check. Take advantage of what's already out there.
Of help available now.
Yeah. So to kind of sum this up, I mean, we know Trump has, signed off on stimulus checks before.
Yeah.
But things are different now, economically.
Totally different landscape.
And politically.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's like this it's a big maybe.
It all comes down to the economy,
Yeah.
If things take a downturn,
yeah,
who knows what'll happen?
Well, that leads to the final question for you all listening out there.
Yeah. What do you think?
Could a future economic crisis be the thing that forces the government's hand?
Yeah. And if so, what would that mean for all of us?
Yeah.
Both individually and for the economy as a whole.
I don't know. It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot.
But it's important.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Be sure to check back soon for another one.
See you next time.